This is another short and straightforward chapter where at the end of this you would have simply tied the logic for the time taken to enter the vehicle to a progress bar. Let's get on to it. So back in the editor here, let's do one small thing before we actually get on to creating the progress bar. If you look at this, it's pretty bright, right? So we're gonna fix that first. So go to the world outliner and let's select BP Sky Dome. And if you scroll down, you can see that this has been tied onto the sunlight source in the sun section here. So just click on this yellow arrow to reset that to default none, and let's save that. Let's go back to the sunlight. Let's select the sunlight and let's scroll up all the way to the intensity under the light section, and let's bring this down to somewhere like 5, right? And let's go down to the UI folder. Let's inside the widgets folder, let's create another widget, user interface widget blueprint, and I'm going to call this w underscore progress bar, right? And this is also going to be a widget which is like W screen notifications, where we will make this desired on screen and we will get rid of the canvas panel. Okay, and outside the progress bar, all I'm going to do is get in a size box, right, and drag that on this, and then inside the size box let's add an overlay, drag that inside the size box. Now inside the overlay, let's bring in a progress bar and drop it there, right? And first let's rename this to generic progress bar. Okay, compile, save. Let's make a few changes to the way this progress bar functions. Instead of left to right, let's make this bottom to top, and let's also go to the style. Let's change the fill image color to green, right? And this is the percentage here, so if you increase the percentage it should show up as increasing. So that's a very generic and sweet and a simple progress bar there, which we can use for multiple things. Now the fill color and opacity, we don't need that because we're already overriding it inside the style here, right? Save that. Let's go back to HUD and let's see, this is where we are bringing in the screen notifications. What I'm going to do here is quickly go over to screen notifications, click on the text notification, and I'm going to say, what's the message that we have given there? Press E to enter the vehicle, right? So I'm going to say the same thing, press E to enter the vehicle, right? And I'm just going to keep it there. Just want to see what it looks like. Now this is where the E is, so I'm going to drag inside the canvas panel. I'm going to select the canvas panel, scroll all the way down in the palette, open user created, bring in a progress bar and drop it in the canvas panel, right? And if you look at that, it's at the back, top left. Okay, now select the progress bar, go to the anchors, and let's select the mid one and zero out the position X and position Y, so it's absolutely in the middle. And let's also give it a size of 100 by 100, right? And of course it's going to be sitting somewhere there, and let's say zero point 0.5 and zero point 0.5. Compile and save. Now it's still looking tiny because if you go back to the progress bar, if you look at the size box, we are not really overriding the width and the height. So the width and the height that we have given here is 100 by 100. So let's give that the default width and the height override to 100 by 100. 100 by 100. That's for the size box. Now the overlay, it's still fine. Overlay is still horizontal. It's filling horizontally and vertically, so that's a complete fill. Now we also have to make the generic progress bar fill horizontally and vertically so that it takes up the whole space of the size box. Alright, compile, save, and go back to HUD. There you go. So now you can see the progress bar which is at its original size, and you can zero this out. We don't need to override that because the default is at 100 by 100. So now we can drag this, or we can simply give it a position Y, right? And we can just say move this below E and just place it there like that. If I can move it just a tad bit to the left, perfect. Compile, save, hit play. There you can see the little progress bar there. Now it might be a little too big for our liking, so let's do this. Let's probably make this the size box, not the progress bar. Let's make this 60, or I think 65 by 65, right? Let's play the game now. I think that's pretty cool, not bad at all, right? This is just one simple thing which will only show up when you are inside the trigger. So going back to HUD, I think I'll just move this to the almost touching the E key there. Now save, compile, or you can also have it horizontally across the length of this whole notification. Let's do that. Let's say if you go back, let's go to progress bar. Instead of, let's change this from bottom to top to left to right, okay, and let's change the size box to 150, or maybe even higher, 200, and let's make the height to somewhere like 20, right? Just a slim bar. And now if you go back to main HUD, this can be placed at position minus 0. Position can be 0, and this can go up and fill the entire thing. So when you say press E to enter the vehicle, now this will be the thing that will get filled. So if you look at the percentage of the progress bar, there you go. Alright, fine. So this is also cool. I think this is better than having a progress bar that looks like a button. So this is going to be right below the notification message. Now by default, there is going to be no notification text because we are supplying that dynamically. Compile and save, so get rid of that. And also for the progress bar, this progress bar is not going to be shown. It'll be hidden, right? It won't be shown. So let's hide it, collapse, hide that, compile and save. Now let's come back to main HUD. If I hit play, I won't be able to see anything. Okay, I should only be able to see the notification and not the progress bar. So to get the progress bar, let's take a look at where we are calling the notification. Inside Seahawk, you got the set text notification. This is where the progress bar needs to show up, or instead of calling the progress bar or making the progress bar visible here, let's do that from the game input. That's because the player can enter the trigger, but at the same time, until it hits the E key, the progress bar should not be shown. So let's go back to the AA player controller, and inside the input action enter vehicle, where we are looking for the E key press, let's move this to the right. Let's call the progress bar. Let's make the progress bar visible here. But before we do that, we have to have a reference to the progress bar. Going back to input, event graph, and we have the screen notifications ref already. So similarly, we will also call the progress bar. Alright, let's give this a better name. Instead, let's go back to the main HUD. Let's change this to uh, vehicle entry timer, right? Vehicle entry exit timer, right? So compile and save, and going back to a player controller, and now let's convert this to a variable, promote this to a variable. Let's name this vehicle entry exit, I don't know, yeah, timer. That's okay. Vehicle entry exit timer. Now we already have that, so let's put this inside references again. Already have a references category, and after we have that in the references, let me rearrange this a bit so that it doesn't take up a lot of space. Okay, now going back to game input, let's bring in our vehicle entry exit timer. Okay, and let's set the visibility or get the generic progress bar. Or you know what, let's do this. Let's go inside progress bar itself. Let's create a new function. Let's call this toggle progress bar visibility. Right, and let's say, or instead of toggle, let's say set, not toggling it, set progress bar visibility. Let's add a boolean variable as an input parameter, and this should be uh, hide question mark, right? So if hide is true, then we bring in the generic progress bar. Okay, and we say set visibility, right? And we say we make it hidden. Say hidden, and if it's false, then we say set visibility to visible. Very straightforward. Connect that here. Okay. Okay, now that we have that, we can simply call this function called set no, I think set progress bar. Yeah, set progress bar visibility. Connect that, and this will be unhide. Okay, let's bring in another reference here, and before we unhide it when it's released, we have to reset. So, let's get the progress bar and let's create another function. Reset this. Let's create another function, and I'll say reset progress bar. Right, now let's simply bring this progress bar reference, and let's say set percentage as 0. So that resets the progress bar back to 0. Straightforward. Going back to player controller, let's reset this. Reset progress bar first. I think we should put this in here, and this will be connected here first. Let's move them all down and move these guys down as well, and then we will again use the vehicle entry exit timer, and we'll say set progress bar visibility, and we will hide it this time. Hide it and then go on with this. There you go, simple. Let's go up to play, and if you hit E, there you can see the progress bar. Alright, nothing is going to happen there because we haven't written the code for incrementing the percentage. Okay, we already have a function which does this whole timer thing, which has this little simple logic for incrementing the timer. So out here, all we are doing right now is printing a string. So let's not do that. Let's get rid of that. Now, if it's false, we have to set the percentage in the progress bar. So let's make this modular again. Let's go back to progress bar and let's create another function, and we'll call this set progress bar percentage percent. Right, this is going to be taking in an input, and this will be percent, or we'll just say value. This will be a float, and all this will do is we have to bring in a reference to the progress bar, say set percent, and connect that to the value. Very straightforward. Compile, save, go back to a player controller inside the false section, because we know that if it's true, it means that the player has already entered the vehicle, which means that this condition has been satisfied. So the time required to enter, which in our case right now, I think we are setting it somewhere, right? I believe so. If I, yes, we are setting the time required to enter as 1. Yeah, we're setting the time required to enter as 1, and that is inside the Seahawk. So we can say 3 or whatever the case is. Let's say 3 because that is a fair enough number. Now going back to a player controller, this is what we're doing. Whether the time spent entering is greater than 3, then if it is true, then it means that the player has entered the vehicle. Else we have to increment the number, right? So this is where we had the print string where we are constantly printing that, and we could see the number being incremented. So out here, let's bring in our vehicle entry exit timer reference. Okay, and then say set progress bar percent. Okay, and let's connect that to the false here. Now the percent is going to be clamped, right? It has to be a percent, has to be a value between 0 and 1 for this progress bar to work. Now there's a neat little function called map range clamped. Okay, it's a neat little function, a very handy function, where it takes in a value and it has two ranges, in range and in range A and in range B, and then what you want this to map to. So if I say 0 to 100, and if I say I want this to be mapped to 0 to 1, then whatever value is coming in from here, it'll map this range over to this range. Very straightforward. Okay, so we'll keep the out range as 0 and 1, and the in range as 0, and the in range A as 0, and the in range B as the time required to enter, which in our case could be 3, I guess. Yes, it's 3, right? And the value is going to be time spent entering, right? And the out range is 0 and the in range is 1. So between 0 and 3, uh, that's the range of 0 and 3 is going to be mapped out to 0 and 1, which is what the percentage progress bar. I go back to the progress bar designer. This is what this takes in. So if you say 1, it's full 100%, 0 is 0%, right? Very straightforward. Now connect that to the value. Simple. And compile, save. And also, once the player has entered the vehicle, the time spent entering should be 0, and then we print this message. Before we print the message, let's also reset the percentage, or let's also reset the progress bar. Reset progress bar, and then again we'll say bring another reference. Say set progress bar visibility, and this time it's going to be hide. Alright, let's see. Compile, save. Let's hit play. Now you should only be able to see the progress bar when you start hitting the E key. There you go. Perfect. There you go. Player has entered the vehicle. Alright, that's worked. That's how we tie the progress bar to our timer logic. Very straightforward, very simple. Okay, so I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.